guys, how are you doing? My name is Masson. I'm a Sony Alpha ambassador. This is Amy Codrington.
Hi.
And we're going to be doing a live webinar, not so much a webinar, it's more of just a portrait shoot. I'm going to show you guys exactly how to light a portrait. And we might even do some product photography at the end of this stream. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go across over here. I've actually got a couple cameras set up, so I'll be able to walk you through exactly what we're doing today. We also, Amy, you can take a seat in the meantime. We also have, we're basically tethered up to the computer today, and I'm going to do a live shoot with you. I'm going to show you exactly how to set up all of your studio lights, your speed lights. I have a studio light over here, this one right here, and I'm going to show you exactly how to set everything up. All the settings I've used, literally a step-by-step process, exactly how I would go about doing a proper professional studio shoot. So I'm going to just show you guys quickly. I have this angle here, this one, and I've got this angle at the back, which Amy is right there. There we go. And then we've also got a live shot of the camera. So here you can actually see Amy in the camera. And I'm going to show you exactly how I set out all of my settings and everything to get the best shots. So really excited for this one, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I think we can just jump right in, right? We've got some awesome people joining us already. Thank you, Ali. Ali's from Egypt. Thanks so much for joining us, man. Fatima, always the jokester, says those specs. Thank you, Fatima. Love you lots. Cool. I'm going to jump in, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we actually start, I actually just want to ask you guys right now, send this link. If you know a photographer, send this link to them, the link that you're watching at right now, and tell them to come join us, because why not? We'll be here for about an hour or so. So we're also, just to show you guys, we're also actually, so I'll be able to show you exactly what I'm shooting while I'm shooting it. And one more thing before we jump in, this is a Sony Alpha event. So this is all sponsored by Sony. Thank you so much to Sony for making this happen. This is the promo code right here. You can see me in the middle, the little bubble. This is the promo code for today's event. If you want to get any Sony equipment, use this 10% cashback on all Sony products, MAT05, and you can redeem your cashback at cashbacks.co.za. Right, let's jump into it. So I'm going to switch across to here, and I'm going to start off by showing you guys my setup and how I would set up a portrait in general. So we're going to start off very, very simply. We're going to use one light for everything that we're doing. So that light over there, you can see there's a speed light in the corner. That speed light is currently not set to on. So if I take a photo here, it won't fire. So I'm only using this one light here right now. And I'm going to start off by positioning it the way that I want. Now, the thing about light is that you kind of have to experiment to actually learn. So you don't have to just automatically jump into a studio setting and you're a pro. It doesn't work like that. The more you practice, the more you learn, the more you'll get to know what looks good and what doesn't. So let's start off with imagining that none of this actually was set up. We didn't set anything up at all. So we're going to start off by just lowering the light. Now this is something that with every shoot that I'm on, with every assistant that I work with, I always tell my assistants, and I always tell the people that I'm working with to make sure that the light is above your subject's head. I don't know, you've probably heard me say that a million times. Above your subject's head, always keep the light above your subject's head. So this wouldn't be a good situation right now. We have the light at a lower angle. I'm going to just take that shot just to show you guys what that would actually look like. It's actually going to be far too close as well. Just put it to here, take that shot. I'm going to take the shot here and walk across and just show you what we're looking at here. So you can see it's a very kind of dark and moody shot, not at all what I want to go for this shoot. So I'm going to just actually leave this up here and just switch across to this setting so you guys can see while we're shooting what I'm getting. I'm going to move this light in a little bit more for me, and then I'm going to raise it back up to where I had it. And I want to show you what we can get with that kind of positioning. Quickly take that photo, let it come through to the computer. And you can see we've got a little bit of a better shot there. I'm not mad about this still. We have far too much darkness on Amy's right-hand side of her face. And I'm not really too happy about that. So what I'm going to do is actually just switch. I'm going to move the light a little bit more around Amy. So it's going to be facing facing her a little bit more. Really, really simple and almost obvious, but let me just show you how that looks. I'm going to move this light around to about here, and one of the most important things that I do when I'm working with a softbox or any sort of studio lighting is I like to feather the light as much as possible. So I like to pull this so that a lot of the softbox is actually seeing more of this side of the softbox. We'll see that side of Amy's face. So Amy can look straight into the camera. We'll grab that shot quick. Well, let me just show you quickly what the camera is actually seeing. Where's my pencil? Right here. So this is what the camera is seeing right now. Now, the camera, these Sony cameras actually have they have a feature which allows the camera to actually to expose the image correctly in your viewfinder on the screen so that you can see what you're getting before you actually take the shot. This is what the shot will look like right now without any viewfinder compensation the camera is adjusting. So it's very, very dark. I'm not exposing for the ambient light here at all. I'm actually exposing for I'm literally exposing for these lights. The lights are the most important things here. So we're shooting with studio lights. We're exposing for the lights. We're not exposing for the ambient. You can see my settings. Let me just switch back across. My settings here are f8, 1/60th of a second, and -100, and ISO 100. I've got the Kelvin set to 5600. I always shoot in Kelvin. I never shoot in auto or anything like that. I love shooting Kelvin, and I love just toggling the settings quickly to get what I want. If I'm shooting a wedding though, I think I will most likely shoot in auto, but for these kinds of shoots, I love to shoot in Kelvin, because you can just dial it in and you're good to go. Just to show you guys the settings that I'm using, for my focus mode, I've got it on continuous AF. I literally always have my camera set to continuous AF. The continuous focusing on this camera, this is the Sony a7R4, is insanely good. So I leave it on continuous, I'm not phased about that. The focus area in this shot, I'm leaving on wide, because we actually don't really need to be very specific, because the camera's got a really good eye autofocus. It's going to focus on the eye no matter where it is in the shot. And because I'm at f8, I'm going to get the shot perfectly sharp every time. I'm not even worried about checking the focus. So I'm going to leave that into, let me switch back. I'm going to leave this into wide AF area. You can see I've got single shooting mode as well. I'm not really burst shooting here. And my white balance, like I said, is set to 5600 Kelvin. So that's that. Cool. So I'm just going to have Amy look at the camera there. Awesome, perfect. And we're going to take a look at that shot now, guys. Just to show you what that looks like. Switch across. 1 sec. So it's a little bit dark, but you can see we're getting more light on Amy's right-hand side of the face. So we're getting there now. We're getting to what I wanted. So I really like this shot. I'm actually going to just bump up the exposure, bump up the power on my flash. That's literally all I'm going to do. That's the only change I'm doing. So I'm just going to move across and bump up the flash. I have a remote on top of my camera, so I'm going to dial it in here. I'm on 1/8 power on the flash, 1/8 and a half. So I'm going to take that shot again, and let's see how that looks in the computer. Getting there. I like that. Really nice. You can see her makeup beautifully in the shot there. So Amy, no smile, just looking straight in the camera like that. Perfect. Awesome. Lovely. Cool. So we're getting to where I want. So that's a nice kind of starting shot. I really like that shot to start off with. I'm going to add in a kicker, what's it called? A kicker light. It's a rim light now. So I'm going to use this my back flash in the scene here. This guy over here, my speed light. I'm going to use this flash right here to add a rim light into the shot. So it's going to add a little bit of light to this side of Amy's face here. It's going to add a little bit of light to here. I'm going to try and make sure that it's not going onto her face too much. So it's literally going to hit this section, and I'm going to try and direct the light as much as possible. This is a speed light, so I've actually set the speed light to 200 millimeters, so it's very, very narrow. You can actually zoom, if you're using a speed light, you can zoom on the speed light, change your zoom from 24 millimeters all the way to 200. You're going to get a lot tighter kind of burst. of light. It's not going to be too wide. So in this case, it's going to be perfect because I'm going to be able to hit just this section of Amy here. So I've got the flash set to 200 millimeters already. I'm going to just bring it down a little bit like this, and I'm going to bring it in a tiny bit, and I feel like that's pretty solid. Let's have a look at that. I'm going to grab that shot there, and it's going to take that shot. Awesome. Right, let's have a look at the shot. There we go. Cool. Hold on one sec. So I cannot see that at all. Did it even fire? No. No, it didn't fire, guys. Make sure you turn your flashes on, right?
Did you not turn it on?
We turned it off earlier. So I'm going to go into my camera. I've got my camera here set, and I'm going to turn my flash on here on the camera. That would be good, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know what I want to use, what power I want this flash to be just yet. So I'm going to just take a shot and see how it looks. I'm going to just take the shot from my computer so I don't have to move too far around. I'm going to grab that shot and let's have a look at this here. So that's far too bright. You can see the light that's hitting the side of her face now. It's just too much. I'm not obsessed with that, so I'm going to drop that flash down quite a bit. Let's just move across here and drop it down to 132 power on the flash. So I'm going to take that shot. Let's see how that looks. Oh. Getting there. I think a little bit more.
Can get a lot of
I'm going to drop it down to 1/64th of a second. 1/64th power on the flash. And we're going to take that shot as well. And let's have a look at that and see how that comes out. Lovely. That's nice. That's really nice. I'm going to move the flash a little bit, guys, and I want you to just see. Let me switch back across. I want you to see what I'm doing here. I'm moving it in such small increments because I like what the flash is doing, but it's hitting too much on Amy's face, on this side of Amy's face here. You can see in the shot. There's just a little bit too much flash. I'm not loving that. So I'm going to move it just slightly back to get a little bit more of a rim light instead of what we're getting there. Cool. I'm going to move that back a little bit. And guys, while you're watching, please let me know if you have any comments or questions at all throughout the whole broadcast. Just let me know. We can pause halfway through and we can take some comments, take some questions. And guys, if you're watching, let us know where you're from. I'm keen to hear where you guys are all from. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Cool. So I've moved the flash back a little bit. I'm going to take a shot now quickly here. And let's grab that. And I'll move back across to my software. Let's do another one. There's a bit of a fail face there. Awesome. That's lovely. Really nice. I'm going to show you guys what we have here.
Did you catch me laughing?
There we go. Yeah, that's lovely. Really nice shot. Beautiful, beautiful shot. Let's get a nice one. They're just looking straight into the camera. No smile. Awesome. There we go, love. Beautiful. That's really nice. So we're getting what I want. I can see there's a little bit too much darkness on this side of Amy's face. So what I could do now is I could actually move the flash a little bit more around to get a little bit more light on that side of her face. And for this specific shot, I'm going to do that just a little bit, just to show you something. We're going to mix it up a little bit just now, but let's just try that out. So this flash is going to move across here and then back in a little bit. And we should be able to grab a nice shot there. Let's check that out.
Sorry, I wasn't looking at the camera.
That's fine. One more shot. Lovely. Beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. Love that shot. So this rim light is doing exactly what I want. It might be a little bit too much on the side of her face, so we might jump back there and move it around a little bit. But I'm really liking that. That's really cool. Okay, cool. So I want to just show you guys something quickly. Let's say we want to get rid of the rim light. Let me switch back here. So let's say we want to get rid of the rim light completely, and let's say we only want to use one flash, and we want to make sure that the shot is balanced, as balanced as possible. This is where I would use something like a V-flat. So I've DIY'd my own V-flat. I'm going to show you guys what that is in a second. Let me just zoom out on this camera. There we go. So this is a V-flat. If you don't know what this is, for studio photography, this is basically 4 boards that have been, I've gaff taped them together completely. This is completely a DIY job. So I've done this because it's so nice to use this specific tool when you're shooting in studio. So I'm going to move this flash back away here. We're going to turn it off. And then I'm going to set this V flat up here right next to Amy. There we go. So this is a very, very simple kind of...
There's the cables there.
No worries. This is a very, very simple kind of setup for the V flat. All it's going to do is just fill light. So right now, can't really see, but there's a white side and a black side to this. And it's basically going to just fill light into Amy on this side here. So we're going to try that out and see what we get. Look into the camera there. Perfect. Let's take a look. Awesome. Let's have a look at that shot, guys. Cool. So, hold on one sec. I'm getting... Cool. So you can see how much more balanced that is. If we go to the one before, there's quite a bit of shadow on this section of Amy's face here. Let me just show you my face. You can see who I'm talking to. Lots of, kind of definition, lots of shadow in her face here. And then as soon as we add the V flat, you can just see how much more balanced that shot is. So I'm only using one light here. I'm not using an extra light. And if you kind of look into this section of her eye, you can see that there's one light. And there's a bit of a lighter section here, which is the V flat. We can move this V flat in and out to get more or less light. We can even flip it around and get a more dramatic shot as well. One more shot there. Let me just do one thing. I want to just switch across to this shot, and I want to switch it up completely. And
What was that?
And actually just flip it around completely. So now.
Okay.
I've tightened it too much, so I'm just going to loosen it up here. Just like this. Nope.
What are you doing?
I've actually pulled the glue off.
Oh,
This
no.
is why you should invest in a real...
Oh no.
Right. So I've managed to break my own DIY V flat in the shoot. Don't do that, guys.
Brilliant.
So yeah, what I wanted to show you guys there was you can use the V flat facing your subject with a simple white drop, and on the back of the V flat you can have a black backdrop, and you can kind of negate light. You can remove light from the shot. So I want to show you one more thing, guys. I see we've got a couple questions here. Hold on one sec. We've got a question from Shane. Do you find that backdrop influences the amount of catch light you use? Example, light, darker versus lighter. So in my mind, I just don't see that as really being possible, unless you can just explain what you mean a bit more, Shane. Just because, let me just bring that up on the screen and leave it up for a bit. I'm not sure what you mean here, because if you're using a backdrop, Shane, the actual light that's reflected off the backdrop would be behind. So the catch light is always being created by the light source. The catch lights are not created by the backdrop. I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah, that wouldn't really affect it in my mind. Let me know if that's not what your question was, and then we can chat about that. Hi there to Technique Studio from PE. Thanks for joining us, and thank you to Herman. This is amazing. Thank you so much, guys. Awesome. I'm going to just go through and just do a couple different things. So we've removed one of these lights. We've got this light here. Let's try something a little bit different. Let's just spice it up for whatever, if we want. We can move this to completely to the side and get a much more dramatic shot. And we can see how much more dramatic this shot will be. I'm going to take that photo quickly. I need to make sure that B is off. And then I'm going to take that photo one more time here. Amy looking at the camera there. Beautiful. Lovely. Now we're switching across to my tethering software. You can see how much more dramatic that shot is. So this is the shot we had. Let me just get across here. So this is the shot we had with the V-flat. Very, very balanced, beautiful, beautiful shot, beautiful skin tones. And let's move across to, this is the shot we actually had the flash on here. So it actually shone just slightly on the side of her face. This is without that flat, without the flash on. So we have the V-flat and then nothing, just completely bare on the other side. So we're getting a really, really interesting shot here. I really quite like this drama in the shot. And I think I'm going to push into it just a little bit just to experiment and see what we can get. I'm going to bring this light back in. And I'm going to drop it quite a lot. I wonder if you can see me. Hold on. There we go. I'm going to bring this light back in, this kicker, the speed light, and I'm going to drop it quite a bit. And I'm going to just aim it a little bit higher and drop it down and drop it down. So it's aiming right here. So it's going to hit this section of Amy's body. We should get a nice shot from that. Let's give it a go, guys. Awesome. Take that shot, and I'm going to switch across to my software. Would help if I turn it on, hey?
You keep forgetting.
That would help. There we go. Looking straight into the camera. Awesome. There we go. Such an interesting shot with the light hitting the side of Amy's face there. I really quite like that. It's very kind of moody and very, very intense. You can see now that the what is it called? The softbox has moved across to the side quite a lot. So we aren't getting that beautiful catch light in Amy's eyes that we got before. So I'm going to actually just bring it back just for fun, just so we can see how we can get a really, really nice shot. I wanted to show you guys here. You can see what I'm doing. Let me switch across again.
So many different cameras.
So many different angles, yeah. So like I said, I want to make sure that the light is feathered on Amy's face. So we're going to move it across like that, and we're literally shooting it's almost not even aiming at her at this point.
It's
literally not. It's going straight past. But we're going to get the softest section of the softbox. The softest section of the softbox is going to hit Amy's face, and it's going to be really, really soft and beautiful. Might be a little bit too feathered.
You think?
Yeah. There we go. Let's give that a go. And I'm just going to show you guys what the camera is seeing. My pencil. Here's the camera shot. This is what the camera is seeing. So even though the softbox is so ridiculously close to Amy, it's even close to the camera's lens here, you can see there's literally about 20 centimeters between the softbox and the lens. It's not in the shot because I'm shooting on an 85mm lens. So it's a really tight portrait lens. It's not going to be an issue at all in this case. So there's the shot, and I'm going to grab this quickly. There we go. Lovely. And let's take a look and see what we're getting. One more shot looking at the camera there. Awesome. So you can see how, there we go. Look at how soft this light is. Look at how it's catching, it's literally covering so much of her face. I'm going to turn that kicker off just to show you guys completely how that looks. Let me turn that off and take one more photo looking at the camera. One more, there we go. Perfect. So it's such a beautiful soft light. You're getting a lot less light on the background in this case. So you can see the background of the previous shots was much brighter, but because we're aiming the light further away from the backdrop now, it's less light on the backdrop. So it can create a much softer light, but it can be also a bit more moody. So it really depends on what you guys are doing. If you're in studio, if you're at home, and you want to create some awesome shots, you can really make some awesome shots with one light. It's really honestly quite simple to do. So I want to just go through and see how we can spice things up a bit. So we've done more of a one light kind of at an angle, coming from a 45-degree angle and hitting Amy's face. But I want to do something a little bit more different now. I want to try for a little bit more of a dramatic, more intense, maybe more moody shot. So I'm going to lift the light above her head, and I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. So we're actually going to position the light just slightly above her head, and we're going to get some awesome shots. I've seen some comments there, and I'm going to go across there. I don't know if you guys can see me. Yeah, you can. I'm going to bring this here, and I'm going to just take a look inside the camera's viewfinder just to see if my flash is in the way. So obviously we can't have this directly in the way. That would be pointless. So now it's obviously directly in the way. But I'm going to lift it up a little bit more, and then I'm going to aim it on just like that.
There.
So this is a like kind of front on shot. It's going to be quite interesting, and I'm not too sure about the exposure yet, but we can just give it a go and take a look. Looking straight into the camera. Awesome. Let's take a look at that. I get to see it before you guys, see if I like it. Yeah, and I like it, eh? It's beautiful. Let me just show you that. So that's such a beautiful, dramatic shot. The lines, the shadows are falling so beautifully and so perfectly. I really like that. I'm going to just position it a little bit differently because I feel like it might be a little bit too high on her face.
Does it make my forehead look weird?
No, it doesn't make her forehead look weird. And I'm going to just lift it up a little bit like that, and then drop it down so the angle of the light is just slightly different. There we go. I'm going to switch across.
You leave your pencil.
I keep forgetting my pencil here. I'm using my pencil to change scenes. There we go. So I'm going to just drop this down a little bit. And right about there is good. Cool. So the angle of the light has just changed slightly. Instead of it being kind of straighter down, it's kind of flattened out a little bit. So this should help with the shadows looking straight into the camera. Beautiful. Let's take a look at that. And it has, and we're getting a nice juicy catch light. Let me just switch across there. There we go. So this is the shot before. Hold on one sec. So this is the shot before. You can see the catch light in Amy's eyes are a little bit smaller. It's and the shadows here aren't the most flattering. But this one, as we look here, the catch lights are just slightly bigger, and we're getting some really nice shadows. So that's a beautiful shot. It's highlighting the background really well. Amy isn't too far away from the background here in this case. It's like literally, say, 10, 15 centimeters away. Yeah, it's really close. So it's the one light that you're using can literally light the backdrop up perfectly. So I really like that. I love the dramatic shot here. It's completely, it's really the kind of shot that I would love to make in the studio all the time. I'm probably I'm just thinking how we could potentially spice the shot up a bit. We could maybe add a kicker light in, but there's not enough space to work here, which isn't great. We're literally in our living room, so it's not the best spot. I'm going to leave it at that for the specific shot. I love that. I'm going to take a few questions. Let me just switch across here. There we go, guys. So just to answer a couple questions here, if you want to do a low-key shot, how would you use that huge softbox in such a small space? Is it possible? Yes, absolutely. To do a low-key shot, all you would really want to do is move your subject and your light source as far away from the background as possible. Now, in this case, because of how we set up the live stream, we can't really do that. But we do have a darker backdrop, which we can actually just throw in, and I can move Amy just slightly. Yeah. I think we'll actually do that in a second. So yeah, we'll create a low-key shot in a second. That's actually a great idea. I want to just go back to what Shane asked. In other words, if you had a black backdrop, would that influence the intensity that you set your second flashlight on to Amy's right versus the current lighter backdrop you have? So Shane, to answer your question, it's a really good question, and I'm starting to understand you now. I would say no. It just kind of depends on how much light you want on your backdrop. So if you would want more light on your backdrop, you would obviously add a little bit more light and position it in a way that it would hit the backdrop. Now remember, if the light is hitting the backdrop, if the light is moving towards the backdrop, you'll be fine. You'll be able to get the light that you want on the backdrop and you'll be good to go. But the intensity of the light doesn't, in this specific case, doesn't really have much of an impact on light on the backdrop because I'm aiming the light very specifically. It's all about the positioning of the light that will require more, more light on to light up a backdrop, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Another question here from Technique Studio. What's the difference in light outcome from a square softbox or an octa softbox? I don't know. I just love the shape that the octa softboxes create in the catch light. They're beautiful, they're round, they're very natural looking. I think it's just about, if you have, for me, it's the look and feel of the light is just so beautiful. I love an octa. As much as possible, I'll try and use an octa. I just love that round, natural look. And I think if you think about it, that kind of being able to direct light in a very specific circular pattern, I prefer that as opposed to a square. Now, obviously, there's a time and place for it, but I only own one softbox, and it's an octa. I hope that answers your question. I mean, it doesn't, but I hope so. Cool. Let's create that low-key shot as requested by Harwan. Thank you, man. Cool. Let's give that a go. So in this specific case, what we would want to do is just swap out. I'm going to swap out my backdrop here. There we go. We have the dark backdrop, and I'm going to just, can you guys see properly? Yes. I'm going to just put this here. The only reason I'm using a darker backdrop right now is because we don't really have too much space, and the less light hitting the backdrop.
You mean that we were using a lighter backdrop?
Yeah, so because we were using a lighter backdrop, the amount of light, it kind of picked up a lot easier, but because we don't have too much space, I'm going to move to a darker backdrop. And we're going to move around a little bit to kind of facilitate that. So like I said, what you would want to do is move the light source as far away from the background as possible. So I think about here is good. I'm going to lift it up a little bit more. I think that's as high as we can go. And I'm going to drop this quite a lot to here. So right now, if you guys can see on that side there, it's quite dark, but bear with me. The light is coming like this. And now because of the inverse square law, the further we get this softbox away, the more light fall off there will be further on. So if I want to move this further away, I'll get less light fall off later on. So there'll be less light here than here, obviously. So we want to keep Amy as close to this softbox as possible. So we can bring you across to about there, love. There we go. So this is already going to look a lot more moody. And I'm going to bring it across to about here so that there's even less light hitting the backdrop. Cool. Let's give that a go. Now we also need to adjust the camera position. So I'm going to bring that back a little bit. Let me just switch across to here for you guys. So it's this is very, very tight, you can see. I'm going to bring this camera back to about here. There we go. That's great. I'm obviously getting a little bit of the blinds in the shot, but I like that framing. We're going to go with that for now. Let's take that shot, looking here. So guys, my settings have not changed at all here, like at all. Nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is the distance from the backdrop and the background that we're using. So I'm going to switch across to my tethering software just to show you guys. So you can see much more dramatic, darker, more low-key shot compared to what we had. So this is the shot that we just had earlier, just one light straight on, very, very close to the backdrop. But here's the shot we just got with Amy. Now, I'd probably crop this in a little bit because we're getting the blinds here, so it's not ideal. But let's see. Yeah, I really like that. I think we can probably get a little bit less light on the backdrop here in this case, so I'm going to actually push for that. Give me a second. We're in a small space, so we are really kind of we're really working now. Cool, let's pull this guy back a little bit more. I'm going to move this just a tiny bit. There we go. There we go, lovely. I'm going to bring this to about here. And Amy, you can come forward just a little bit more. Stop there, that's great. And I'm just going to set my camera up one more time. You can see because the backdrop is it's quite far away now. We're about 1 meter away. Because the backdrop is so far away, we're going to actually have a little bit. It's going to be a little bit harder to get this perfectly set up. So what I would do in this case is probably use a longer lens, but I don't have a longer lens right now. We're using my 85. So in this case, I can't really do too much about that, but I'm hoping that there's going to be so little fall off. It's going to be so little light hitting the back of the hitting the blinds that we won't have that issue. Hopefully, there's no light hitting the blinds. So let's take that shot. I can straight into the camera. Brilliant, brilliant. And let's see if my theory was correct. And it looks like I didn't completely mess it up. How is that? There we go. So very, very dramatic, kind of low-key shot. Obviously with the backdrop, she's very well lit. So we're getting a lot more of a kind of a darker, more moody, more intimate shot. I really like that shot, and I'm actually probably going to steal that for a little portrait for myself just now. Once we wrap up the stream.
What do you mean?
I'm going to go sit there. So I really like that shot, but I think we can get a little bit more moody, a little bit more intense. And in this case, all I'm going to do is just move this to about here. So we're getting very, very feathered. Did you guys see what I did? No, I don't think you did. Hold on one sec. There we go. So all I did was I moved this softbox from here to here. So now the light is not going to hit the backdrop at all. Like, it literally will not at all. It's only going to hit Amy here, and we'll see how this looks now. Let's just grab that shot.
Oh, sorry, I did a weird thing.
No worries.
with my mouth.
Looking here. Awesome stuff. Ooh, that looks so cool. Love that. Love that. That is such a sick shot. Let me know what you think of that shot, guys. Comment. I think that's pretty sick.
Can I see?
Yeah. Take a look there. How pretty. Very, very moody, intense, dark, low-key shot. So we went from this kind of shot, more high-key, more dramatic, more kind of like luxurious feeling shot, to a very, very deep and dark kind of moody portrait. Really, really like that. And that was just a couple changes that we made. We didn't really do too much there to do that. Now I'd probably go in with Photoshop and just adjust. I don't know if there is, yeah, you can kind of see here in the corners that the blinds in the background were in the shot. So I'd probably just kind of like vignette that a little bit and just spice it up just slightly. Hey, we got some, yes, you guys like that. Thank you, thank you. I dig that. It's such a nice shot. And I mean, I'm really not like, I'm getting there with kind of studio photography. I don't believe there's ever such thing as knowing everything, but it's all about learning and trying and practicing. So that's really cool. I'm actually going to add that speed light in the background and just show you guys how that looks. We've got some cool comments. Thank you, Ali. Thanks, man. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Thanks, Fatima, and thank you, Herman. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is awesome. I'm going to add a kicker. That kicker we had, that little speed light. Remember that guy? We're going to chuck him in now and see what that looks like. So just bear with me. I'm going to switch back here so you can see the positioning. So this guy is facing here. There's just this section of the light is kind of hitting Amy here. So it's very, very specific. Here, we're able to now get this speed light back in.
It's not really in the shot.
Sorry, there we go. Let's just put it here so you guys can see. And I'm going to aim it just slightly down, like that. Actually, I have an idea. Ooh, let's do something like this and have it almost directly overhead. Almost directly on the top of Amy's head there. So we should get a nice kind of rim light shot. Let me just have a look and see. There we go. If you're doing that with a model that you're not dating, make sure you don't do what I Make sure
Don't
you
get
don't
up
do
in
what
their
I just did.
Don't get up in their space.
Cool. Right, so let's take that shot. Let's have a look and see how that looks. There we go.
Sorry, do you want a moody face?
Yeah, just a nice... again, would help if I turned on
The flash.
the flash. Have you ever seen someone do a studio shoot and not turn on the flash so much? Right, there we go, we're on. And I'm going to just, because it's quite far back, I'm going to push the brightness up of that flash just slightly. Cool, let's take that shot. Let's have a look and see how we get. Oh no, I don't like that.
Oh, okay.
Let me show you guys what that looks like. I don't like how that's affecting her hair here. There's too much light on her hair. So this is where it comes down to being very specific about what you're doing. You want to make micro adjustments. You guys can comment and let me know how bad that photo looks.
Is it bad?
No, I don't like the way that there's too much light on the top of her head. And in this case, I want to just make sure that there's a little bit less. So we're going to bring the light down a little bit. Before I do that, let me just switch across to show you guys my process. I'm going to bring that down just a little bit to about here and move it back slightly. So we're going to get less light on the top of her head here. It's going to hit more across this section here and then down onto her shoulder. So let's give that a go and we shall see if I've got this right. Let's hope. Right. Let's take this shot quickly. There we go. Yep, that did that. Great. Looking straight to the camera, head straight forward. Awesome, let's grab that shot as well. See, there we go. So we're getting that kicker in a spot that I prefer. It's looking really good. I'm going to just drop down the brightness of this flash just slightly to say I think that's good. 1/64th power, and I'm going to grab that shot again. There we go, let's check that out.
A little
So,
pout.
yeah, so that's beautiful, that's really nice. So that's just like a very, very subtle, like it's perfect for a low-key shot, which I love, which I think will speak to what Herman was asking for earlier. Just that little tiny little sliver of light on the back of her head, just kind of lighting it up perfectly. Fatima says that she saw nothing wrong with this shot. I think that's what friends are for, just telling you good things even when, even when you don't believe them. But I really prefer that kind of shot. I really, really love that. So we've done now a low-key shot, we've done a more high-key shot here with that kind of shot. Just such a beautiful, I really love that. I hope that's your new profile picture.
Let's see.
And then we've also got this very, very dramatic kind of moody portrait there as well, which I love. Very nice. Michael says fire emojis. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Really cool. And we haven't done too much yet, guys. We've changed the backdrop. We've moved the back. So for Haki, I got a brighter backdrop, and I moved Emmy close to the backdrop. For a low-key shot, all I did was move the lights further away from the backdrop. And you also don't have to use a backdrop. I'm using these awesome backdrops from a company called Creative Barn.co.za. And they are brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. You get some really, really cool effects out of them. But you know, you don't have to have a fancy backdrop. You can literally do this against, if your backdrop is 20 meters away, for example, and you're using a flash, you can do it out in, you know, in the afternoon. You can have your flash on full power. Let me just switch across to me talking. You can have your flash on full power in the afternoon and overpower the sun completely and get a really, really moody shot. Simple. Technique Studio asks, did your power ever change between these shots or only the position? This guy didn't change. I didn't touch that power at all. And I'm not really thinking too much about that. I'm not thinking about how much power I need to put on. All I'm trying to do is try and maintain the distance, because both of these flashes are in manual. This guy and that guy. They're both in manual, so I'm only worrying about the distance between the flash and the subject. I'm not really, worrying about too much else. So if the distance of the flash between, the distance between the flash and the subject is as insignificant enough to not really affect the exposure too much, like if it's moving, say, this much or that much between between movements, I'm not really too worried about it, if that makes sense. So this guy didn't change at all. This guy absolutely changed. The speed light, the kicker changed a lot. I went from 132 power over here with this shot. Let me just switch back to here. So I went from 132 power with this specific shot here. You can see it's very bright here. And it was quite high up. So the light was quite high up. I was thinking about that to this kind of shot here, where this was on 164th power. So it's a lot softer, but it was also a little bit closer. So I was kind of factoring it in that. I hope that makes sense. Melissa says, I really hope you do more of these classes. I'm learning so much. I'm so happy to hear that, Melissa. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. Awesome. So I'm really enjoying that, guys. Like I've really enjoyed this so far. There's some really cool options we can make. And I feel like we are on a bit of a roll. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm hoping for some good profile pictures.
Yes. Awesome. So Amy's feeling good. I would like to just, if you guys have any questions or comments, put them down below now. Let's have a bit of a conversation. I think we're going to get set up quickly for a product shoot. So Amy's going to do the setup for the product shoot. She is the best model / assistant ever.
Yeah,
I
hope so.
And we're gonna get set up for a product shoot now. So it's a quick setup, literally just 2 or 3 minutes. And we're gonna I think let's just actually show you what that would look like. So I'm gonna help you out.
Do you want to move the light?
You guys can comment so long and let us know if you have any other questions. All we're gonna do is just drop this. We've used some books and some board games. Here we go, and we are going to put this up. You can hold the boards. There we go. So I'm going to use a black backdrop here, just because the product that we're shooting is black as well. And I'm going to use the marble board just in front of it here to create a little studio.
Okay, but how are we going to hold this up?
There we go. Sorted. Lovely.
Okay.
So we've got our little studio. We're going to have
And here's our gin.
we're shooting a gin bottle. We actually did let me come across here so you guys can see me. We actually did a shoot. I actually did a pre-recorded webinar shooting this gin bottle with kind of things you have around the house, not a professional setup. So I'm really excited to actually shoot this properly with a studio strobe and a kicker as well. So let's give this a go. So we've got, I'm going to get this camera set up first. This guy here, because this needs to change completely. So I'm actually going to just leave it on here for a sec, and I'm going to drop it down. You can just bring that tripod leg up a bit. There we go. And I'm going to bring it in.
Am I doing it the wrong way? No? What is happening?
It's fine. You can
Sorry.
There we
I
go.
don't know what happened.
So I'm going to just drop it down to the same level, just like that. And then let's switch across here so you guys can see my framing and how I'd like to frame this. So you can see there's the gin bottle. I'm going to just drop this down here like that so that we have it a little bit lower. And I wonder if we can maybe bring it, actually don't think we can bring it closer. But let's just give that a go. I'm going to go into,
what do you mean, bring the gin closer?
Actually, I'm going to bring this closer. Why not? No, it's fine. That's cool. I'll bring this closer.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. Awesome. Right, so that's my framing there. We'll just get that locked in, and I think that's decent. So it might be a little bit skew, but just for the sake of time. There we go. Just for the sake of time, we're going to just send it.
You can always adjust it in post.
Exactly. There we go. So let's switch across to camera 2 just to show you guys what's going on here. Cool. So I'm going to bring this light in a little bit more now. Now we're going to get the light on both the backdrop and on the subject. I'm going to bring it nice and close, like that. And I'm going to drop it down a little bit. So now we're probably, because we're doing a completely different setup now, literally from portraits to products in the space of like 2 seconds. We're going to just see how this looks. I'm going to take a quick test shot just to see how it looks. There we go. So now we're going from portrait to product. And I can see already that it's just far too bright. It's really just far too bright. Let me just show you guys what I got. There we go. So it's just very, very bright. I'm not loving that. I really want a much more moody kind of intense shot here. So we're going to come across and just show you guys this scene here. I'm going to angle it a little bit more across like this so that there's less light hitting the backdrop and more light hitting the front of the shot. I'm going to take that shot and just see how it comes out. You can see that immediately we have less light hitting the backdrop. So that simple adjustment, aiming the light away, such an easy way to sort that out. We've got a question here as well. Let me just switch across to the question. Coming back to the softbox question of TSP.
Technique Studio Photography.
Oh, sorry. For product, would you prefer a softbox or would you still go with an octabox? I would go with what I have. It's simple as that. I'm not the kind of photographer who's going to spend all of their money on softboxes. I'd rather invest in quality products. I've spent a significant amount of money on the right equipment. So I'm using the Sony a7R4, which I think is an absolutely invaluable tool for product photography and for portraits commercial work. It's literally the best camera because it has the 61 megapixels. It literally feels like medium format. You can zoom in, and it's just so brilliant. So I'd rather invest in that than 50 different softboxes. But if you really want to get specific, square and rectangular softboxes work just fine. I'm not like, it also kind of depends on what you're doing. If you're shooting, if you want to get a strip box, something very, very thin, obviously then square rectangular softboxes work perfectly fine. And we've got another question here from Technique Studio. Adding to Herman's question, would you consider adding a grid to direct light a little more towards the subject? Absolutely. The next thing I actually want to purchase is a grid. I wish that when I bought the softbox, I bought a grid with it. I'm going to just show you what, for those of you who don't know what a grid is, let me just zoom in a little bit here so you guys can see.
Yeah, I got you.
There we go. So a grid is basically something that will just fit on top of the front of the softbox here. And it creates these kind of like little, almost like little rectangular, like egg carton kind of like an effect on the softbox. So all it does is it just directs the light a little bit more. So it's essentially just black pieces of fabric that sit on top here that kind of direct the light more. I absolutely want a grid. It's definitely the next thing I'm going to buy. Cool. So let's just jump back into the shot here. I like that. I think that I probably want to get something with a little bit less floor, so a little bit more flat on. So I'm actually just going to take this off quickly.
Which?
You put on two. There we go. I'm going to take my camera off the tripod just to show you guys how I would do this. And I'm going to go nice and low. You can put me on 3 there. And then I'm going to bring this really, really low like this. And take that shot. There, right about there. Let's give that a go. See, I want to get low like here. I'm going to try that as well. And one more. Just in case, you can switch to 2. Right, let's put this back on the tripod. And let's take a look and see what we got. What do you think, Amy? Decent.
Yeah.
I think that's quite cool. I'll probably crop this in here a little bit. You can really do quite a bit to this kind of shot as well. I really like that. I think that's a nice kind of shot. So I think, guys, I think the point has definitely been made here. You can really make some awesome shots, really awesome shots just by using one light and adjusting it the way that you want. Think about what you're doing. Try and envision what the light is doing. This is something that we've always been really obsessed with, is trying to see light and trying to imagine what it's doing. It's really a really good skill to have. So try and put yourself in that position of that light. I sometimes will look into a light. So I'll actually get into the position of the subject and look at the light and see what the light is seeing, if that makes sense. It's a bit weird. So in this case, I'm imagining myself, you can put it to, I'm imagining myself here and looking out towards the camera's lens. And I'm seeing what the camera, if you come here and look, you can see the tiny sliver of light that will be available to the specific, kind of setup. So try and imagine that, guys. Try and put yourself in position of the light, and try and observe light as much as you can. So in your everyday kind of activities, go out and try and imagine, try and envision what the light is doing in a coffee shop or at the grocery store. Try and look at the light and see what looks great and what doesn't look great. When you start to like analyze light, you'll be able to see what you can do to kind of modify light and improve light as well. So definitely do that. Lumiso says, learning a lot. Yeah, thank you, Matt. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Just one more time, I wanted to show you quickly that there is Sony's done a promo code for the specific talk, Matt05. So go ahead, buy your Sony equipment, and you get 10% back. Cashbacks.co.za, and it's valid until the end of August or 29th of August. So definitely go and do that. Guys, I'm going to just sit tight for another 5 minutes or so. You guys can comment down below, comment in the comment section, and just let me know how many, if you have any questions at all going, from the talk. But guys, yeah, thank you so much for joining me. This has been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. We got some really awesome photos. Let's take a quick look back. That's really nice.
Yeah, it looks really clean.
I want to toggle between here. What's going on?
Oh no. What happened?
I'm not too sure. Okay, well, it's stuck now. There we go, it's back. So I'm just really happy with this kind of shot. This is just exactly what I was hoping for from the shoot. Beautiful, beautiful definition in the back here. And just such a lovely, lovely shot on beautiful light on Amy's face here. That's also really, really nice. I think this one is also beautiful, that really tight, dramatic shot. And then this one was definitely, I'd say this one is definitely my favorite of this entire shoot. I absolutely love this shot, yeah. I just love the catch lights in Amy's eyes here. They're just beautiful. And I love the way the light's falling here as well. Technique Studio just asks here, would you consider color gels? Absolutely. This is one of my obsessions. It's been one of my obsessions. I've done a lot of wedding photography as well. And I literally am obsessed with colored gels. So I will use color gels all the time. If you're doing any sort of dramatic effects, color gels are awesome. But try and I would like to recommend, if you're buying gels, try and avoid the primary colors unless you intend on mixing them, because you'll find that if you're using primary colors, blue, yellow, and a red too much, or green too much, they're very stark and very hectic. There's no other word to describe it. They might be a little bit too much. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the primary colors for gels, but try and get something different. So some different color shades, and use those. Something that you can try and select stuff that's quite unique, because I've just seen hundreds of photographers as well using red, blue, yellow, green, like the kind of primary.
We've all seen those shots where it's
exactly.
one side of your face is red and the other side is blue.
And it can be a little bit cheesy and a little bit overdone. And I mean, I've done it as well. I've done that. Oh, cool. We're in a studio setting. We just use blue and red gels, and ooh, it's a bit dead. So I would recommend trying to choose a palette that works for you, but don't overdo it. Try and add to your images. Don't kind of overpower it as much as don't go crazy with it.
I'm with Fatima. She says that she likes the low-key
Fatima
one.
says that she prefers the low-key shot. Where is it? It was over here.
It was one of those ones.
Yeah, there we go.
With a pout.
I think you and Fatima just have bad taste. I'm kidding.
That's so
I just love the marble one. I think that was really lovely. Yeah. We have one more question here. Would you recommend them to bounce out off the wall, or you get a similar look to your first results? Oh, yes, good question. For people who don't have a softbox, you don't have as much control, and that's just a simple fact. You won't have as much control in your shot if you're shooting without a softbox. So bouncing off the wall, 100%. Always bounce off the wall, or bounce off the ceiling if you're in a bit of a tight spot. If you're using something like a V-flat, and you can DIY yourself a V-flat for about $200. The best thing I ever did, I probably
use spray paint. We use normal paint.
If you're doing,
it's falling all over the floor.
If you want to make yourself a V-flat, if you want to make yourself one of these, make sure you use spray paint. So you spray paint the inside white.
See, look, there's like flakes of paint.
Yeah, so you want to spray paint this white. Don't use acrylic paint. We've used acrylic paint on here and it was a bit of a mess. So we'll actually probably readjust this. I'll probably redo this weekend. And use glue that is meant for plastic, because I've actually just pulled, where was it? Yeah, this Velcro was actually pulled off during the shoot, which is not great. But using a V-flat and using a speed light or an LED light if you're shooting film, bounce it into the V-flat and you have this kind of strip of light bouncing back. So it's really great. It's a really nice little hack, and it will cost you like $200 to build. Definitely worth doing. If you don't want to spend money on a V-flat, then bounce off a wall. Yes, or a sheet. You can shine through a sheet. You can put a pillowcase over an LED light or a pillowcase over a speed light. I've done that. I remember shooting a wedding a while back, and I forgot my speed light modifiers at home. Not a good thing to do on a wedding day, and I was shooting the reception. I actually found a card. It was like a menu from the reception table, and I just gaff taped it to the top of the speed light so that it would actually bounce off there, and I could bounce off the ceiling and have a bit of a bounce card. So you don't have to do things perfectly. Clearly, I don't. I mean, our V-flat broke, so I don't do things perfectly, and you don't have to. You can bounce off the ceiling. You can bounce off all sorts of different things. I hope that helps.
See, look, Technique Studio is also
Looks
saying
like
the low-key one.
Everyone says that the low-key image wins, so I think we will give it to the low-key image. Thank you. Thanks for all the very unofficial votes. So guys, I just want to actually wrap up with that. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for this. If you haven't followed me on Instagram yet, please go ahead and do so. My Instagram handle is just passed by. It's @Masson. Give me a follow. Just one more thing to add here. Very good point. Would a V5-in-1 reflector work if you don't have a V-flat? Yes, absolutely it will, but it won't give you as much control. If you have a V-flat, you can direct the kind of control to a strip if you want and bounce it into a strip, or you can have it very, very wide and bounce it into a very wide spot. You guys should build one. It's very easy. Next time I'm in PE, I will help you guys build one. I got you. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun, absolute pleasure chatting to you again. Go follow me on Instagram, follow @SonyAlphaSA. We're doing lots and lots of talks like this. We've got August, September, October. There's awesome stuff planned, so we'd love to have you guys there as well. Thank you so much for joining us.